Imagine being completely alone in the middle of the African savanna. No houses, no roads, just the wind and the silence. Now imagine realizing you're not really alone. A few meters away, an adult lion starts running towards you, and at that moment, all you can do is stand still. This is the true story of a man who came face to face with the most feared animal of the savanna and made a decision no one would dare to make. It was a warm morning on the African savanna. The sun was already beginning to illuminate the golden plains, while some tourists explored the region on a safari. Among them was a man who decided to walk a little further from the group, just to appreciate the landscape. The savanna seemed peaceful. Some zebras grazed in the distance. Giraffes walked slowly. Everything seemed perfectly normal. But there was one detail he didn't notice. In the savanna, when everything is too quiet, something is wrong. As he walked, he heard a sound, a low noise, something moving among the bushes. At first he thought it was just the wind, but then he saw it. About 80 meters away, a huge golden figure slowly emerged from the vegetation. It was a lion, and not just any lion. It was an adult male, with a huge mane and a fixed gaze. For a few seconds, the two stood still, man and predator, eye to eye. The man knew one thing. Lions don't always attack, but when they decide to attack, it's too late. The lion began to walk, step by step. Each movement made the man's heart beat faster. Then the worst happened. The lion began to run. When a human being sees a predator running towards them, the natural instinct is simple: to run. But running would be the worst possible decision. Lions can reach speeds of 80 kilometers per hour. No one escapes. And at that moment, the man remembered something he had heard before, a rule used by some safari guides: never run from a lion. So he did something that seems impossible. He stood completely still. The lion kept running. The distance was rapidly decreasing. 40 meters, 30 meters, 20 meters. The man could hear the sound of its paws hitting the ground. He could see the lion's muscles moving. The animal was completely focused on him. At that moment, it seemed like everything was over. But then something strange happened. When the lion was just a few meters away, it slowed down. First, it slowed its pace. Then it started walking. And then, it stopped. The enormous predator stared at the man. For a few seconds that seemed like an eternity. And then, it turned its body. And he simply left. Animal behavior experts explain that lions sometimes do something called a charge of intimidation. They charge toward their target, not necessarily to attack, but to test the prey's reaction. If the target panics, runs, or shows weakness, the attack happens. But that day, the man did something extremely rare. He didn't run. In nature, a single second can decide everything, between life and death. And that day, in the middle of the African savanna, a man survived an encounter with one of the most dangerous predators on the planet, simply because he had the courage to do something that goes against all human instinct. He stood still. Final phrase to go viral. In nature, sometimes surviving doesn't mean fighting or fleeing. Sometimes, surviving means doing absolutely nothing.